Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Natile Sitole, alongside Namaklabiso Nkambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Queen Mother led Eswatini in dancing the Little Ngwala at Eswatini Rural residence. The Prime Minister says that among the country's priorities is that locally owned businesses should increase. The Minister for Health says patient safety is a priority, thus the ministry will ensure that members of the public are served with safe medication at all times. And now the news in detail. His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Queen Mother led Eswatini in dancing the Little Ngwala at Eswatini Rural residence. The Little Ngwala commenced last weekend, and our reporter Paul Lemazia has the latest.
The Liti Ingwala entered its third day today following its commencement last weekend on a very high note. Their Majesties continued to lead Eswatini in dancing. The nation came from all corners of the country and gathered inside the Ketli Bayer at Eswatini Rural residence as the ceremony continues. Also present were the Makosigati to His Majesty King Mswati III, Bogogo Balondolozi, their Royal Highnesses, the Princes and Princesses, and His Excellency the Honorable Prime Minister. This is one of the oldest cultural ceremonies that have existed for so many years and has also benefited the country economically as it has attracted many tourists from all spheres of the world. Hence, when they come here, they boost the country's revenue. However, the tourism sector is currently facing a difficult time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On the news, I am Paul Lemazia at Eswatini Rural Residence.
The Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, says the country has a goal of increasing locally owned businesses. The Prime Minister was speaking during his visit to the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade on Monday.
On Monday, the Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini had a visit to the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade to learn more about their services and meet the staff. The Premier's visit is part of his ongoing tour of government offices. During his visit, head of departments delivered operations of their departments. Speaking during the tour, the Prime Minister said the Ministry of Commerce is key to the country's socio-economic development.
Nabosomabhizinisi indlela lenisebenza ngayo ikhikwe ukuthi ilakhe noma ilibulale lelive silive sifuna vele ukuthi sibe competitive sikhone ukuthi nabeta lake sibasheshe basitakale besikhuluma nje sisengale na minister ngale tindzaba tabo work permit nako konke lokho ukuthi siyafuna vele eMswati ukuthi athathe over imisebenzi ikakhulu etinkampanini nathi lesetinesikhathi tefika la kangwane ukuthi nangabe inkampani vele seyinzala sesiyibona ayibonakala phela ifake eMswati. Nikhulumena ngama special economic zones. Funa siwamakethe sibukisise futhi kulamanye amave ukuthi asebenza nakwende njani asebenze njani ngoba kuthi nje stawuthi lena ke special economic zone kepha lama advantages akhona abe angakacaciseki kahle nale infrastructure yakhona ingakabonakali mhlambe ngase kusende sitiyenge ukuthi sesikwendile lokho.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mancaba Khumalo, said the ministry is given a very important task to create job opportunities for eMswati.
Litiko ke linemsebenzi lobandi kakhulu ngoba ngilo lemele ukuthi uma sisebenza kahle imisebenzi yakheke eveni buphuya bunciphe. Mhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu bengisasisa lapha ku senior HR officer wethu ukuthi staff complements sethu sesonke kulaba khona la ehhovisi kulaba ngaphandle nalaba kulaba kuma regions civil servants nje singabali laba kuma parastatals siyenga ku 400 webantu.
On another note, the Commissioner of Cooperatives in the ministry said the country has 791 registered cooperatives with 3 billion emalangeni worth of assets. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Suekoza with Vumenko Sinsinesa Babane.
The Minister of Health, Lizzie Ngosi, says patient safety is a priority. Thus, the ministry will ensure that members of the public are served with safe medication at all times. Where patients are dissatisfied with medication, they have a right to report that and necessary steps will be taken. The minister was speaking during the launch of the Eswatini National Pharmacovigilance Policy Framework and Implementation Framework, where she was represented by the Minister of Commerce, Mangoba Khumalo, at the Hilton Garden Inn in Babane.
The Ministry of Health officially launched the Eswatini National Pharmacovigilance Policy and Implementation Framework, which is a document to guide pharmacovigilance activities in the country. This document serves as a tool for advocacy geared to provide an enabling environment as well as for effective planning, implementation, monitoring and evaluation of the pharmacovigilance system by all key stakeholders. The Minister of Health, Lizzie Ngosi, who was represented by the Minister of Commerce, Mangoba Khumalo, says they are fully committed to implement the document and ensure patient safety at all times.
The MRA, or the Medicine Regulatory Authority, can achieve this through a number of functions, which include clinical trials, oversight, product registration, post-marketing surveillance, and pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance activities include receipt and collation of data on adverse effects and events, conducting causality assessments, and the provision of feedback on the reports received on adverse drug reactions and medicines quality problems. The National Pharmacovigilance Center, NPC, in Eswatini, coordinates the implementation and maintenance of pharmacovigilance systems in the country. The mainstay of the NPC activities in Eswatini involves creating awareness of the need for detecting and also reporting suspected adverse events and adverse drug reactions through spontaneous and active reporting. Both these systems are being implemented in the country, and the active surveillance systems, which were initiated in 2015 for patients receiving TB and HIV medicines in sentinel sites, have played a critical role in the TB and HIV programs, understanding the adverse drug reactions that are experienced by the patients within these programs. Furthermore, the center also provides support for the collection, processing and sharing of data generated from adverse events, reports to facilitate effective data analysis.
Eswatini is reportedly to have been lagging behind on medicinal policies. Thus, an achievement through this document. Patients and the nation at large have the right to report suspected drugs, and data collection is key, as well as feedback thereafter by government. Some participated virtually. For Eswatini TV News, I am Kian Msibi at the Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane.
The National Commissioner of Police, William Dlamini, warns people who are behind the acts of terrorism targeting individuals and the recent attack to the Pikespeak police station to desist from such acts, as this is contrary to the quest of peace and stability. Dlamini said this in a press release.
The Commissioner of Police, William Dlamini, in a press release, has raised concerns over the disturbing acts of violence that have been reported time and again. Dlamini says these acts are perpetuated by elements with an agenda of causing anarchy in the country. Dlamini says the most recent incidents that have been witnessed are the terrorism-inclined attacks on homesteads of prominent people in the country. Dlamini says such incidents cannot be allowed to continue, as they cause fear and uncertainty on the safety and security situation in the country. On another note, Dlamini reports that another disturbing incident occurred over the weekend at Peaks Peak Police Station, where police officers were attacked by two gunmen. He says that it is fortunate that there was no bloodshed during the incident, although there was slight damage to the building after a bullet was discharged by one of the attackers. Dlamini further sent a strong warning to people who continue with this act. Dlamini further appeals to people who may have information regarding these attacks to forward the information as it will be handled with confidentiality. Dlamini says there is a cash reward on anyone who has information regarding these attacks. For Eswatini, TV News on Domlangeni in Babanen.
Since the past week, the Kingdom of Eswatini has been recording a rise in COVID-19 cases among children. This has been said by epidemiologists in the Ministry of Health, also explaining that the country has registered 840 cases in the past week, with 23% of them being children.
Nearly 2 weeks ago, the neighboring Republic of South Africa was hit by the Omicron variant, which saw a rise in children testing positive for COVID-19. In Eswatini, epidemiologists in the Ministry of Health, Vusiloko Tfago, says the country has been recording a rise in COVID-19 cases among children in the past week. He says in a week, Eswatini recorded 840 cases, with 23% of them being children.
We've had around 840 cases within a week. And naswabula cases now around 23% of those cases sithole ukuthi bantfana laba below 18 years of age. So siyababuka with an interest and siyaba monitor. Lengakusho ukuthi lokuhle ngabo ukuthi nasibatfola mhlambe lesimo in terms of condition sibakhanza banemkhuhlane lolula lesingazonga ukuthi it's a mild disease. Lokushoyo ukuthi sisengaboni mhlawumbe ukuthi benyuka tinombolo kuma hospitalization kusebantfana nje lesingathi banemkhuhlane mhlambe lo mild. Mhlambe sengushito lokho kungaba kwengeta lokho ukuthi noma simbona ukuthi ba contributed 23% over the past week. Leti nombolo sivamise ukuthi ibona leti na seyikhuphuka kakhulu le waves we've recorded in the past up to around about 28% infection around bantfana. So siyayibona lokuthi yiningana vele kulamalanga kulabantfana kodwa ke sive asingetfuki ngalokuthi sengishito lokuthi basesimeni lesikahle mhlambe nje ukuthi bana COVID but they've got a mild disease.
Logotlago says 84% of the 840 registered COVID-19 cases in the past week were not vaccinated for the virus and further encouraged Eswatini to vaccinate. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Swekoza, Woodson Domlangeni, Babane.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport has started a pothole patching program on MR9 public road known as Yitabantu Highway. Menzimbingo, who is an engineer under the Ministry of Public Works and Transport Roads Department, says the ministry is currently on a serious mission to rehabilitate all main roads that are not in good condition countrywide.
The pothole patching program for Main Road 9, known as the Yiti Abantu Highway, started last week and will run until all potholes along the Mhlaleni to Mahamba Road are patched. Menzimbingo, who is an engineer under the Ministry of Public Works Roads Department, says significant progress of patching the potholes has been made already. He says the contractor on the ground is now patching the potholes at Ngwene.
The ministry has awarded AG Thomas to carry out a pothole patching program for roads that now require attendance in terms of pothole patching. So one of the roads that the ministry is working on with the contractor is the road from Mhlaleni all the way to Mahamba, but the sections that we will be addressing mainly are from Mhlaleni to Hlatikulu. As we speak today, the contractor is working at Dingatseni, near Ngwene, Ingundla, where we are addressing the potholes on that part of the MR9. It is also worth reporting that after the contractor has done the MR9, we will be addressing the MR5, which is the section of road from Emafutseni to Mliba. However, the full length of the road is from Emafutseni to the Janeni border.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport has also started a road reserve maintenance program and a street lighting maintenance program. Mbingo says very soon the ministry will start a road marking program. Sifiso Ngumalo with Smuva Shongwe for Eswatini TV News. Ngwene.
In a bid to encourage Amaswati to visit places of interest in Eswatini these holidays, the Eswatini Tourism Authority has introduced the Eswatini My Holiday Challenge. The head of marketing in the authority, Sibonso Madlopa, says people who will participate in the challenge will win handsome prizes.
The Eswatini Tourism Authority has launched the Eswatini My Holiday Challenge, which is aimed at encouraging domestic tourism. According to ETA's marketing officer Siboniso Madlopa, says the campaign is also meant to stimulate local travel across the 4 regions of the country. Madlopa says the campaign is meant to heighten enthusiasm for local attraction.
Le kusenta lesiwakhuthaze emaswati tinfo letimbili sonto kwekucala kuloku ukuthi nyalo sekuyadula kokuthi emaswati nawufuna nje ahambe esigaba lesithe nabo petrol sebadulile nawuphuma uyeningizimu Afrika petrol so ubita ngetuli kwa-20 emalangeni ilitha kanti lakithi nawutawuvakashela la ngenteka uthathe isikhathi lesincane futhi ngenteka futhi usebenzise na petrol lomncane. Kwesibili kunatindzaba tabo tema-variant lasakhona sithi kungcono lakhaya kokuthi uhlale lakhaya ukhona ukuthi uvakashele lakhaya kunike ukuthi uye kuletinye tindzawo la ungakhanza kuyingoti khona. Lo hlelo ke luthi Eswatini My Holiday luyindlela yokuthi sikhuthaze emaswati ngekuthi sisebenzise lesibita ukuthi top 10 Christmas challenge or festive challenge.
Madlopa says participants who are willing to be part of this campaign will be required to compile a list of top 10 places to visit and visit at least 5 of those places. Take pictures of yourself at the local destination and then spend at least 250 emalangeni and finally post the pictures and tag Eswatini Tourism. For Eswatini TV News on Mlangeni in Babane.
The Eswatini Competition Commission says learners and SMEs need to be taught about fair competition so that they know about principles of fair competition in business. The Eswatini Competition Commission commemorated World Competition Day in partnership with Junior Achievement.
The Eswatini Competition Commission commemorated the World Competition Day in partnership with Junior Achievement, where they encourage fair competition as early as schools where Junior Achievement operates. This will enable small and medium enterprises SMEs to grow knowing of competition. The Eswatini Competition Commission CFO Vusinga Mphalala, who was representing the CEO, says this day reminds them to ensure that companies and businesses carry and operate in a fair and competitive environment.
Prevented from impeding growth through anti-competitive practices. So we just want to come in between the big and the small to ensure that the playing ground is level. Furthermore, competition allows emerging businesses access to new and existing markets and enables them to expand, thus positively contributing to the growth of the economy by creating, amongst other things, jobs and also increasing the consumer choice which we all need.
The Junior Achievements Communications and Marketing Officer, Sipesihla Mkonda, applauded the partnership between the two organizations, saying they will continue preaching the gospel of businesses amongst the pupils in schools, as well as the youth who are now, some of them, out of schools, and especially that of fair competition.
Siyayibonga i-dedication yenu nekuthi nje nisiphathisa kwebantfu labafanana nani akwendeki nangalenye ilanga sive ngazazi ukuthi bothishela seba unfair or bothishela basasiva or bothishela sebanjani. Siyabona ukuthi in our journey sisasita abantwana etikolweni we come across a lot of inconveniences naloka nathi ka Junior Achievement sigcine sesitikhanza ngalana
The definition of competition can be defined as the process whereby firms fight against each other in order to secure customers for their products, and in order to get more market share, firms adopt certain strategies which may be fair or unfair. For Eswatini TV News, I am Kian MCB, Sibane Hotel Zulwini.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. The Mandlas Melane Road Classic race champion Muzi Shabangu says winning the race was one way he could revenge after failing to win the recent national championships. Shabangu revealed this after finishing first in the 115 kilometers in Sitegi.
The second edition of Mandlas Melane Classic Road Race was once again an exciting event with cyclists attending in their numbers despite the rainy conditions on the day. The race was divided into 3 different categories of 115 kilometers, 60 kilometers and 30 kilometers. Under the 15 kilometers, local top cyclist Muzi Shabangu was the eventual winner and revealed that after failing to win the recent national championships, this was one way he could redeem himself by winning the Mandlas Melane race.
That's why the first few kilometers ngivele ngahamba because lokwenteka kuma chips akungiphathanga kahle, so it was a revenge in a way. Yes, good long go. That's why ngithe mangivula le gap then nga ride all the way because in my race bese ngivele ngiwinning the first few kilometers.
Kwanele Chele, however, is finding it as a motivation to train and race with Shabangu after coming second in the race.
Ay, ngiride kahle. Good lele ngiplay makhona but ngishaye kuma attack kule last hill before finish line. Because ngisheshe ngam attack and then waba ne advantage yekusabe semva kwami. Wakhona ukuthi abuye phinza ngi-attack.
The association's president, Zwide Ndwande, says the level of the competition and the attendance of cyclists are something that they are proud of as an association.
I was very impressed, especially because they were our 2 best young riders were seen to be working together even on the road as they were riding, and also that competitive age, with much as they are friends, but they still gave us a good show in the final sprint. And of course, the development, I think it would be criminal to not mention Msebenzi Lawendile as well in terms of just mentoring Muzi to the level at which he is now right now. And also Mbusi, what he's done with Kwanele as well is very impressive.
Daughter to the late Mandlas Melane, Ngobeles Melane, thanked all the cyclists to make the event special, as she highlighted that indeed her father's legacy lives on as a leader who tried everything to see the sport developing. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini, Stegi.
The national under-17 team has made it through to the Region 5 semi-finals after playing a 1-all draw against Lesotho. The volleyball team, on the other hand, has crashed out of the tournament after losing their opening 2 games.
The Eswatini-Lesotho game that was suspended after heavy rains continued where it was stopped. Eswatini was leading by a goal to naught. The game was restarted from the 56th minute. When the match restarted, Lesotho was firing from all cylinders, looking for an equalizer, which they eventually got. Both teams created some few chances, but the score remained as is, and Eswatini managed to push through to the semi-final stage, where they will face Angola on Tuesday the 7th. The volleyball team has however crashed out of the competition after losing their second game against Namibia by 2 sets. They lost the first set against South Africa by 2-1 sets. In swimming, 13-year-old Hailey Ho reached the finals of the 50-meter butterfly after coming third in her heat. Unfortunately, she could only manage a 6th place finish in the finals. In boxing, Vuyiswa Dlamini lost his fight, crashing out of the tournament. Eswatini now stand a chance of carrying 2 medals in boxing with Bafo Dladla and Vuyiswa Makwai in the finals. The games will continue on Tuesday. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msibi, Maseru, Lesotho.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Queen Mother led Eswatini in dancing the Little Ngwala at Eswatini residence. The Prime Minister says that among the country's priorities is that locally owned businesses should increase. The Minister for Health says patient safety is a priority, thus the ministry will ensure that members of the public are served with safe medication at all times. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team. Thank you for your company. Good night.